welcome everybody. This is the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I can say that with for some beers, some conversation, some good times. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's been another one of them long days, but here I am. I'm enjoying some beer, and you know what? I don't feel as worn out as I have in previous weeks. I feel all right. You know what? The thing I was going to talk about, context switching, man. Isn't that just a pain? Like having to change from one thing to another all day long. That's the most exhausting thing about some of my days. And this one was one of those days where I was busy the entire day, but I have like zero to show for it. I'm like, what happened?
Those happen.
Yeah.
Have you ever, you know what I had the other day? I had the opposite of that, Brian, which doesn't happen as often, but at the end of the day, I was like, man, I haven't done anything today. But then looking back, like my daily status report, I'm like, oh, I actually accomplished quite a lot. I got quite a few check boxes on the list there. So
sometimes that happens. Or every now and then there's somehow people fall into a black hole or vortex and all the events get pulled off of my calendar and I get to spend some time working on one thing. Man, that's a great day. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. It's like, I don't care what you're doing. That's a great day.
Yeah. I had the opposite of that. It's opposite day for me and you, Brian, because I had a meeting removed from my calendar today. It's like, hey, I can't make this. Let's reschedule. And then like 5 minutes into the meeting, they hit me on Teams to join. And I'd already rescheduled my day because this meeting wasn't happening. So,
oh, fun.
Crazy. Good corporate talk, man. Nate,
good
how
stuff.
Are you doing?
I'm tired, and I almost didn't make it to the show.
I saw that.
I was waiting on a third-party driver, and they needed me to let them into our local warehouse facility. And then I got stuck in traffic. So today's been long for a different reason from you two.
It happens, man. It can get us. It can get us, you know.
I was going to try to come up with an interesting reason for you to be waiting in a warehouse for somebody to show up and arrive with something, but I hadn't gotten that far. So
it's a lot more boring than you think it was. So.
Yeah. That's like a
Is there a trench coat? A little opening of a trench coat at some point?
3 raccoons stacked on top of each other? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's cop drama drug deal stuff there, waiting in a warehouse to meet somebody. So
yeah.
They don't normally do it during the day though, Nate. So that was, that's a bad time to be. Maybe that's a good time to be dealing drugs.
Maybe that's going across state lines. So, I'm just racking them up.
Actually, you were distributing. Yeah, that's right. Cannabis beverages, or I guess hemp derived beverages there. Probably. So we were accurate. Nate was at a warehouse to do a drug deal.
That's right.
So there we go.
I plead the fifth. I don't want to incriminate myself.
Not quite the same, but Brian and I were falsely imprisoned in a parking garage this past weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we went out to grab some lunch, and you get the little ticket when you go in. Pull the ticket out of the box, and we go in, and the place we had lunch at said we validate parking. I'm like, perfect. So I was like, hey, can you validate? And they gave me another ticket that looked identical to the ticket that I had. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I tossed my ticket and took their ticket, and I headed out. And I go to leave the parking garage and I put the ticket in and it said, this is impossible. I believe that's exactly what it said on the screen.
It seriously said, this is impossible.
So I tried a few more times and I pushed the little service button and you couldn't hear a thing they were saying. It was awful. And they refused to speak to me. But to make this long story shorter, after us arguing back and forth and I kept saying, I can't hear you. What are you saying? I can't hear you. I said, could you send someone out here? They refused to come out and talk to me at the thing. They were just talking over the speaker. But I think I made out lost ticket and $90. So is what they told me I had to pay. And I'm like, I don't have a lost ticket. I have one right here. So now what I'm assuming is I must have needed that original ticket to scan and then pay with the ticket they gave me. But at no point, Nate, was that told to me. So I didn't know that. But so due to them ignoring me and there being 30 cars behind me, I paid $90 to park for an hour for lunch.
So Tim is out on bail.
Yeah.
$90 bail.
So I just reversed the transaction through my.
I was going to say, did that successfully go through? Because I know you were having trouble getting that to.
They're researching it right now, Brian. They gave me a temporary credit while they researched it. So we'll see. I hope that I kept all the tickets that I do have to show them. what's, and my bank required me to try and resolve it with the merchant. And I tried calling 3 times and it kept going to their voicemail with no answer. So
they're going to be as useful as they were when you were sitting there trying to get out.
They don't, parking lots don't have a reputation for customer service.
Parking lots in Atlanta that's basically organized crime.
It's a racket.
It's basically organized crime. Yeah, and I don't care who hears that. So yeah,
fun
come at me, parking lot people.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's get into our beers of the week. Brian, what are you sipping on?
I started the show. Well, actually, I started things off getting ready for the show with a Creature Comforts Firestone Walker collaboration called Peebo Pilsner that reportedly combines the best elements of Pivo Pils and Bebo Pilsner. And as a fine drinking beer, I enjoyed it a great deal. It was delicious.
I feel like I've used that one a few times. I feel like old Peebo has been on the beers of the week.
It's been a couple of times. I think it might have been a featured, but I mostly I think it was something a little lighter, something to unwind a little bit from work while I'm going over show stuff and tightening things up. But it's a good one, and I had a 4-pack of it, so I'm like, I'm going to get to it at some point. So I may have used half of at least 3 of the 4-pack on the show. So there's nothing wrong with that. But
if it ain't broke, Brian,
it wasn't broke, and so I did not attempt to fix it. But one that I've not had on the show, I don't believe before, is Toppling Goliath's Scorpius Morcella, which is what I'm drinking right now. It's a double IPA that celebrates the brewery's annual day off to go morel mushroom hunting. So they've got a morel mushroom hunting beer. This is a good beer. Doesn't taste like mushrooms, but I enjoy it. I'm happy with it. And then later on, when we're hanging out with the Patreon folks after the show, I'm going to get into some other half Gouda, which makes me remember that I need to go to Capella and get some cheese. Shout out to Capella and all of their wonderful cheese. But Gouda is does not have any lactose in it whatsoever. Its other half, they have weird names. It's a New England double IPA with Citra, Strata, Comet, and Eclipse, and it's great. I've had it before, and I'll have it again. So, yes, Tim.
I don't remember if we had the beer or not, but I believe when we had Toppling Goliath on the show, we talked to them about that beer and about morel hunting.
I think we did.
What I recall.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I know there's a few people around here that go hunt morels, and they're just one of my favorite mushrooms, but I don't know where to go or what to look for. And people who do know they're not sharing.
They're never going to tell you. No, there's no chance because you'll just take it, and then they'll be out of morels.
They don't need that competition. Nate, what's on your list this week?
So in my glass from Parish Brewing, I've got the Pescador, which is their lime lager. This week we had a Patreon supporter, Tyler, talking about Parish. And when I saw this in the store, I said, you know what? They've never made a beer that I didn't like. So I definitely want to try this guy. It's really tasty. It's tough to mess up a lime lager. And then on deck from Monday Night Brewing, I've got their LMAX 95, which is a New England IPA with Galaxy, Motueka, Sabro, Citra, and Mosaic hops. And that one I'm looking forward to as well.
And that's the beer that's done for Air Max Day, right? For the sneaker collab thing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Is that a new edition of it? Because
they released this spring. Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. Because I had the previous one. Well, actually, I think I had just the previous. There were 2 versions of the.
They did a Monday night and the brewery
Bearded Iris
and Bearded Iris.
Bearded Iris, 2 of them. That's right. I had 2 of them, but that was like the second year. So this is the 3rd year they're doing it, I guess.
Yeah, this is this year's release. Yep.
I'm going to keep an eye out for it.
Good stuff. Well, guys, I have in my glass right now from Old Nation Brewing, I have M43 Orange Creamsicle IPA.
That's so good.
And that's the thing is this is my style of IPA, being a not huge IPA fan. The Northeast, the hazies, the juicy, fruity, tropical haze boys are my jam. And this one has a very nice orange cream to it. So it's not, it's kind of beery. I mean, it's beery. It tastes like beer, but beery. Some of these get so much flavor in them that it crosses over a little bit. But no matter what, it tastes good. And that's really all that matters.
We have a question and it's not related to beer at all, but a question on Instagram.
Yes.
Roger J10 says, I know you're into tinned fish. What's your take on caviar? Cheers. So we haven't talked about tinned fish in a while, so
So
Yeah.
you know what? I like caviar, and I don't believe I've had any like super high quality. Like I've gone to some fancy brunches that have it as part of a buffet spread. That have smoked salmon, I have some caviar in that. But actually, Brian, you and I have talked about going. We've got several restaurants here in Atlanta that do a caviar service, and
Yeah.
you can choose what level you get there. I think on the cheap end they're like 110, 120. But of course, you can go up $200-$300 for nice service, and then they'll do a champagne pairing with it. And that. But the short of it is, of the caviar I have tried, which I do not believe has been of the highest caliber, I've enjoyed it. So, and I want to try the better stuff.
I think that I generally have a favorable opinion of the stuff I've tried, and none of it I don't think has been high roller caviar that I can recall.
We got some for the Super Bowl party one time and ate it on nacho cheese Doritos.
That's right. That was I did enjoy that a great deal, but not necessarily for any other reason that it was very funny to do. I think that was one. I might have gotten that from Whole Foods, and honestly, it was called caviar, but I want to say it was.
Did it have the quotes around it, Brian? And so
yeah, I don't know how legit it was, and I feel like it was under $50 for the little thing that we got. Yeah. So it probably wasn't. I mean, it was Whole Foods, so it was. I mean, it wasn't going to be like bad. Sturgeon. They weren't abusing sturgeon to get it. It was probably some other fish. It was close enough. But I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I haven't had the really good stuff, so I don't know what all the fuss is about. So I don't know if it's really amazing or if it's just an acquired taste. Like after you get used to it, you get the nuances and whatnot. I think it's fine. It's fine. I've yet to, I guess I need to try the really expensive stuff to know if the really expensive stuff is worth it or not. So that is my thought on that.
Sure. Kind of going off on a tangent here, but I was watching this show recently called So Expensive. And they were covering foods particularly. And they now have this item called escargot pearls, which is snail eggs. And there's people, so it is their version of, I guess, caviar, but from snails. And they show this thing where they had these really, really, really high society ladies in there, like billionaire wives in there sampling it. And they said that it was absolutely divine and better than caviar. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on snail eggs?
That's weird because it's not the actual snails, and that's not too dissimilar in my brain from like fish eggs. So
that's
I'm
what I
like, okay, maybe I don't care about that. The idea of snails, I still find a little revolting, but the eggs, I don't feel the same kind of sense of revulsion. So a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe it's a maybe. It's a maybe.
It's a maybe. Snails is still a no. It's still a gross no.
Fair enough.
Well, Mike, Nate,
Brian, maybe
caviar. What do you think?
Yeah, we know his take there.
While we were talking about caviar, I had to look up what caviar was. That's what I think.
Oh, really? Really? Okay.
I thought I had a good hunch it would have something to do with fish eggs, but I wasn't 100% positive on it.
All right. Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah. I'm glad I asked. I wanted to hear that. So okay, carry on.
There's your soundbite. You can cut it and post it online.
Brian, maybe it would be better. It would be more palatable if you washed the caviar down, or maybe the snail's eggs, with the strongest beer in the world. And if you did that, where would you even get that these days?
Well, it's funny you ask that. That's a great idea. There is a new high gravity sheriff in town, and it clocks in at an insane 75% ABV in terms of the highest beer in the land, or of all the lands. The beer's name is Bethier Fire, and it was made by 88 Brewery in Scotland. And I'm saying made very intentionally because it's actually a product of brewing and blending, and it may not legally qualify as a beer in some countries, but it's said to be a Scottish-style barley ale that's aged for 2 months and then blended with a pure Scottish spirit. It then reportedly goes through another fermentation process and is either, depending on where you read it, it's either triple filtered or triple distilled. So that I read 2 articles about this, and I'm not sure which one is correct. I don't know how limited the bottles are. There is some limited amount of them, but you can buy it online right now. Each 330 milliliter bottle, which is about 11.2 ounces, will cost you £45.95, as they like to say on the other side of the pond, or about $51.66, as we say on this side of the pond. So there's a lot of recent activity on Untappd about this beer. It may have been featured at a beer festival in Europe very recently. So the reviews aren't great on Untappd. It's sitting at a 2.23. And I did pick up a few amusing check-in comments because you have to with a beer like this. Many of these had to be translated. I think they were in maybe Dutch or German or something like that. Anyway, I couldn't read it. So
Okay.
Here's one of them. Doesn't really taste like anything. Tastes like mold and chemicals, mostly acetone. So that seems to contradict itself. Pick a lane, dude. Does it not taste like anything, or does it taste like acetone? The next one was Bah, way too strong. Another one was 70% or so, not good, nothing to do with beer. And that sound I made at the very beginning, which probably got edited out in the editing software, is PFFFFFF. So if you didn't
Thanks for that, Brian.
If you didn't hear a puff at the beginning, that's why. And my very favorite is not to be pounded was the comment. So that's good advice for a 75% ABV beer. So previous ludicrously high ABV champion beers include Snake Venom and Armageddon by Brewmeister. They were 67.5% and 65% respectively. Schorschbach 57 by Schorsch Brau, which was 57.5%. The name is fairly accurate. And the one we all have heard about, The End of History by Brewdog, which was 55% ABV. I think all the previous ones weren't some interesting blend of Scottish spirit, so I don't know if this one takes the crown with an asterisk, or has the record with an asterisk. So
strongest with some quotes around it. Strongest beer with some quotes around it. There.
The beer with some quotes around it. Yeah. So that might be great with caviar. If you hate caviar and your taste buds, that may actually do it. Yeah. Yes. Acetone plus caviar.
What was the one that we had from Brewdog, Brian? I forget the name of it now, but it tasted like an ashtray and burning car tires and like maple syrup.
Tactical Nuclear Penguin.
That was it. That was it. And I forget the ABV on that one. But that was a strong one.
I think I still have a bottle of it. I want to say that was 17%. Like, it's not legal here in the U.S.
I thought it was higher. I thought it was higher. Like it was like a 30, 40.
Untappd has it listed at 32%.
Oh, was it 32?
Yeah. I thought it was up there pretty good. Yeah.
I know that one time, I don't know if it was that or another one, I had a very small tasting at a bottle share. That one kicked my butt. Like, I don't know what it was about that. Just like just pure alcohol, maybe. But
the Tactical Nuclear Penguin.
Yeah,
I think it was the 40 other beers you had that day, Brian. That's my guess because I was there.
Really?
Yeah. That was back when our homies that had the craft beer factory. And they would do do bottle shares there. Oh yeah.
That one messed me up good. Maybe it was the other beers, but I blame that one. That one put me over the edge.
Would you like
not
me
only
to read
over
out
the edge, but deep into the ocean? Yeah.
Would you like me to share your guys' check-ins from that day?
Oh no,
sure,
you've got them.
So from the 2nd of July, 2014, Brian Hewitt said of Tactical Nuclear Penguin, the white whale, gasoline oak barrels, paint thinner, and raisins. That dude's expression sums it up nicely. And from Tim, you said notes of dark chocolate, soy sauce, plums, diesel fuel, and a hint of regret.
That's about my recollection there.
That's beautiful. I love that I actually put some notes in there. See, that's why I do Untappd. I can come back like 11 plus years later.
Yeah, over a decade later.
Yeah, and go see what the heck I was thinking back then. I'm like, I was still an idiot. So yeah, that's what I was thinking.
In the world of crazy strong beers, you also have Sam Adams Utopias, which is very well done. And I think a lot of people that try that, I have seen people try Utopias and be very disappointed because they are expecting a beer. They're expecting something like a Scotch ale or something like that. It's very much a spirit. It drinks like a spirit. And it's one that you can get and you can pour, and you shouldn't get like an 8 or 12 ounce pour of it. But you pour it like a spirit and sip it, and I kind of like a cognac or a brandy, I would say. But if you're going into it thinking, and it is technically, because I believe it is brewed, I think it is technically a beer. You don't need the star bite or like this one, but it's a beast. It's thick. You drink it, you don't keep it chilled. Cellar temp would probably be good for it, but a bottle lasts you years. I think I had a bottle of, they do it every 2 years, and I think mine may have been 2017, 2019, somewhere in there. And I guess I had it for 2 or 3 years before finishing that one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm glad I got to try several of them. I got to try yours. I got to try a few others at bottle tasting. That's one of my regrets, is never having bought one. And these days, I think I don't know what they go for. I think they get marked up a lot, but maybe not as much now. But I would still get one. I really liked it. I thought it was a really, really good drink. As long as you sit down realizing what it is as a fine cognac or beer cognac or a fine beer port or something like that. It's a beautiful beer.
Just know what you're getting into there.
It's a beautiful beer. It's expensive to make, and that's why it costs so much. And when you think about it that way, I'm like, okay, that's part of the story. Didn't you finish that off on camera at one point, like during a bottle
There's no
share?
proof of that. That's rumors. That is slanderous.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah.
Actually, I did finish it off. This was during the COVID days.
Yeah, during COVID,
and
yes.
That was when we were trying to figure out how to live our lives under lockdown. So a lot of breweries were doing virtual happy hours. And we got together with Jason Pellet from Orpheus Brewing. At the time, Orpheus Brewing, he's now in Belgium and owns the Hollows.
But
at the time had Orpheus Brewing here, and he hosted a happy hour. And I believe, Brian, that was the last time that I was actually intoxicated. So
yeah, that was kind of an all out type of thing. I could see why you wouldn't repeat that after the fact.
Yeah, that was enough. That was
life altering intoxication. Yes.
Whew.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, guys, moving right along, there's many ways that we can get our beer today. We've talked about it a lot. Are people drinking on premise? Are they drinking at home? Where are they getting their beer? How are they getting their beer? And we found out recently there's news that says there is a method of beer receipt that is trending up.
There is. According to DoorDash's delivery trends report, and this might clue you in already, consumers are increasingly ordering alcoholic beverages for delivery. According to the report, 42% of those responding said they are ordering alcoholic beverages more often in 2025 than in 2024. The most popular occasion for alcohol delivery is regular nights at home, and that's a quote, at 40%. And that beats out occasions including watching sports, holidays, parties, and romantic evenings. So regular nights at home is a lot of occasions. Nearly half of people polled, about 49%, prefer ordering alcohol through third-party apps or websites, which makes sense. I think most of the liquor store websites I've ever seen have not been terribly great for that. But non-alcoholic beverage delivery is also rising, with 80% of alcohol delivery customers also ordering NA options in the last 6 months. That is more than double last year's figures for that. And non-alcoholic beer orders specifically increased by 82% year over year from 2023 to 2024. Not only that, but 32% of customers feel there aren't enough non-alcoholic beverage options on menus. Over a third, 35% of consumers that either way, customers or consumers order delivery twice a day, and 22% order 3 or more times a day. And that's just deliveries in general, not just booze. So that's a lot. I don't think I've ever done that in a day, but have you done that, Tim? Have you done 3 orders for food delivery in a single day?
There's certain things in life that are none of your business, Brian.
Okay. All right. We'll move on.
None of your business.
I feel like that answers the question. Well,
I'm a heavy DoorDasher. I do DoorDash frequently. And yes, there has been times when every meal has come to me courtesy of DoorDash or, one of their ilk.
If you're busy, I mean, I get it.
I'm not busy. I'm just, I'm like, I don't want to cook. I want to do this and that. Ooh, I'm in the mood for these delicious Szechuan chili dumplings that this place does, and it's too far to travel. It's convenient, Brian. I don't have to drive 15 minutes to get my hand rolled dumplings. They come right to me.
That is seriously, that is a factor here in Atlanta. That's like driving anywhere. It's not maybe not as bad in the burbs, but I think you've got a pretty heavy traffic street not far from you as well. Like getting out anywhere, it's not just like 5 minutes to the store and back, like some suburbs. A lot of places, it's like you're going to be gone for 30 plus minutes, maybe 45 minutes to like round trip to get it, pick it up. And like, I could see where like, I don't want to mess with that.
Sure.
I'm just going to do what I'm doing, which maybe just watching TV, and let somebody else do that. And I'll pay extra for it. So, I mean, I could see an argument for that. Why not? Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That's my argument.
Have you ever used it to have alcohol delivered to you?
I don't believe I've ever had alcohol delivered. And another thing, oddly enough, we were talking about COVID times, but that's when we got the ability to deliver alcohol.
Yeah.
In Georgia was during COVID. And it's something, there was talk were they going to roll it back after the COVID restrictions. They did not, because that was fought for a while. They didn't want to give it up, but then it was done as something to try and help our, small businesses out there. And it stuck. So we do have that ability now.
I have, but I found it a bit of a nuisance because I don't want to have to deal with the whole, like, you have to show up and show ID, I think, to do it. And I find that to be a little bit of a nuisance. And I'm like, you know what? Just easier if I pick it up when I'm
got to show ID at the store. I mean,
yeah.
Why?
Well, no, but I've already gone out. So I live in a building and I got to take an elevator and I got to do all that.
They don't come to your. Okay.
No, they don't. I don't get it right to my door. So I have a little extra stress on myself. It's a little bit more. There's a little bit more aerobic activity involved with me retrieving my delivered goods. So like, they're partially delivered, like mostly delivered. I got to deliver that last like 5%. And
I mean, I get irritable if they set it at the edge of my porch instead of on the mat in front of the door. I'm like, why couldn't you have gone the other 3 feet there? Like, come on.
I know.
Prayers, Tim.
Shakes fist. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, man.
I feel your pain.
I mean, there's been times when I'd like them to just come up and, be like, I'm working, I'm busy, just bring the pizza up here and feed it to me.
Yeah, it's like, come up the stairs, bring it to you.
Right.
Break off a slice before you leave. Mo McKnight, have you ordered beer delivered or alcohol of any form delivered to you by any of these apps?
No, I haven't. I actually don't use any of these apps, so I don't even have food delivered to me. So no, I've never had the beer.
That's right, because you don't like most of everything when it comes to food. You're like,
it's not that. It's just I don't mind a little inconvenience.
Oh, okay.
That's fair. Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all about the convenience there. So it's definitely something that I think the trade-off there is pretty good for me. Brian, again, we keep talking about the drinking habits of Gen Z, and there's always mixed information. Are they drinking more? Are they drinking less? Are we getting false reporting? And to add to the mud in the water, you've got another take on Gen Z's drinking habits.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about the alternative theories as to why is Gen Z not drinking as much as previous generations at this point in their lives. And everybody's obsessing over that. It's the only reason we really are is because beer and a bunch of other industries have taken a bit of a nosedive lately, and they're trying to come up with rationales for it. They're mostly blaming Gen Z and their purchasing habits for it. What I found, for good or for ill. I mean, I don't know if Gen Z really deserves the amount of attention they're getting for this, but they are. But anyway, in the previous story, one theory said it was tied to the time they spent on screens and the risk of drinking publicly when everything under the sun is being recorded all the time, and not necessarily concerns about wellness, which is what we heard for like a few years leading up to this point. This week, the CEO of Asahi put forth the same theory. Digital distractions are just eating into Gen Z's drinking time. In short, they're enjoying everything they're doing online so much that they don't care about the beer. Like their phones and everything else is giving them all the fun buzz that they need, their dopamine or whatever else. But anyway, an article in Wine Enthusiast that we saw this week argues that it's really just about money. A report from Rabobank that they cite shows that it's not about wellness, it's not about the sober curious or even screen time. They just don't have the money it takes to drink, especially not expensive wines. So this was Wine Enthusiast, or big crazy stouts or pricey 4-packs of hazies. That is compounded by recent inflation, not to mention the beginnings of the effects of tariffs on the cost of goods. We're starting to see that. I think I heard that Walmart's raising prices lately because of tariffs. They're not going to take that hit. Roughly 55% of Gen Zers and millennials live paycheck to paycheck, an increase of 5 points for Gen Z and 3 points for millennials from the previous year. For many Gen Zers, alcohol, at least in some forms, is considered an occasional luxury or a special occasion indulgence. And we have seen studies that indicate that younger generations are still willing to go out and enjoy some drinks and go to a restaurant despite not being flush with funds. I think that falls under the occasional indulgence, canopy there. They're not completely abstaining. They're going out occasionally, but they're not nearly as often as other generations might have done at their time. So as much as the theories seem to be about screen time and wellness and blah, 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 they appeal to us as rationales. The practical dollars and cents of the situation is hard to argue against. I think the answer really could be as simple as they're broke. They just don't. They're not drinking like we did because they just don't have the extra money that we may have had at the time we had it. So they're broke.
I see a lot of conversations from the younger generation that everything is more expensive now. A big one that I looked at was like the cost of college. And it's been a few years ago since I looked at it, but I went on and looked at the cost of like Harvard in like 1980, 1970, something like that. And the short of it is at that time, you could work, I think it was 12 or 14 hours a week at minimum wage and pay your full tuition to Harvard for a year. And that year, which again, I think was a few years ago, you would have needed to work like 82 hours a week at minimum wage to pay just the tuition portion of schooling. And, that's everything they're talking about. They can't afford to buy houses. They can't afford to have kids, all these things. So and these are not people who are just working, simple minimum wage jobs. They've went to college. They've got careers, they're in what's supposed to be a good career, but the amount of compensation is not in line with what it costs to live your life these days, man. So it's tough. It's tough. I could see something like alcohol. I don't know. Maybe it should be a higher priority with the way everything else is going, but I get it.
It could be. And I remember getting Henry Weinhardt's for a 6-pack for like $4 or something like that when I was like at late college. And it wasn't that big of a deal. I wasn't flush with cash, but $4 was hardly anything. And like, sure, let's get together. We have a few friends. We didn't drink a lot, but we didn't have a ton of money, but we get a 6-pack, no problem. So we'd go out and get it. And that used to be a regular thing. If you look at the price of 6-packs now, it's considerably more. That was under what you get paid an hour typically, maybe. Well, like now, like with your 4-packs of hazies, like that's $20 twice or something like that. Yeah. 3 times what you get paid in an hour at minimum wage. Like there ain't no way they're doing that.
Well, this not a chance. My first job was in 1990, so long time ago. But my pay rate was $3.35 an hour. That was the minimum wage then. So if you look at today, and again, I actually think at that time we had the beer that's just white cans that says beer on them. I seriously think that at some stores they were like $1.99 a 6-pack. So, you're talking $2 or $3. I do remember you could get like a 40 of Old English for like $1.35. So, fast forward to now, and minimum wage is $7.25, so a little over double. I don't know the exact percentage, but a little over double. But the cost of beer is definitely more than double or probably triple
for sure
what it was then. So sorry, y'all. Sorry you didn't get to enjoy the days of, $1.35, 40 ounces.
Seriously, I could see the prices just rocketing up as I was like, I just graduated college. I didn't have a lot of money, but every year it felt like it went up $1 or something like that. I'm like, come on. I'm like, it's getting really hard for me to buy any beer, and it was
easier to be young. Right. It was easier to be young and broke then. So
it was.
You could survive being young and broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brian, before we move on, how about we give a shout out to Truck and Tap?
That's a great idea. So if you're looking at the tap list at Truck and Tap, and those 20 options have you feeling a little analysis paralysis, and that's a thing, it's time to do something that I like to call Truck and Tap roulette. It's easy to play. It just asks Google for a random number between 1 and 20 and order the beer corresponding to that number, because there are 20 taps. Just pick that beer. In keeping with tradition, landing on a pumpkin beer is an instant mulligan. Fortunately, we are still a week or two, not much more than that, away from the arrival of pumpkin beers, so we're probably good for now. But by the time you hear this, maybe pumpkin beers will have arrived, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to play. Let's see what Truck and Tap Roulette has me drinking this week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I landed on Kid in a Candy Store from WeldWorks. It's a pastry stout with peanut, caramel, nougat, and chocolate bars. And lactose too. I'm not mad at this outcome. I'll probably need a pill for that, but I'll bet it's great. It's WeldWorks. So, it's a candy bar beer from WeldWorks. How could that possibly not be great? At the Duluth location, I got Reformation's Base Camp Panther Creek Falls IPA. This New England IPA is hopped with Mosaic and Brew 1 hops. I'm not familiar with Brew 1 hops, so this will be fun to try just to find out. And so far, so good with the Truck and Tap Roulette picks. Will my luck hold up? We'll see. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, I got Magnanimous Diagonal Cut PB and Grape. It's a gluten-free kettle sour with peanut butter and Concord grapes. And while the ultimate PB&J is peanut butter and strawberry jelly, I'm interested in trying this one out. Gluten-free beers have always been hit or miss with me, and maybe this one will be a hit. And I know Tim agrees with me in my assessment of the PB&J. I'm just going to move on without any further comment. Yeah. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I got Monday Night's 404 Light Lager. There is absolutely nothing wrong with an easy drinking light lager. So all good choices, and that's not surprising. Truck and Tap isn't putting bad beer on any of its taps. If you'd like to take the excitement up to another level, you can follow this up with a little food truck edition of Truck and Tap Roulette. Let fate decide what food you're pairing with the beer it just chose for you. That only seems right. That's something about that feels good. But if you insist on making your own picks, head over to truckandtap.com to see your options. Either way, you're going to have a great time at Truck and Tap. And also thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We appreciate you very much.
Yes.
Well, Brian, distribution. We talk about distribution a lot here in the U.S., but it's not just an American issue. And recently there was a big change to distribution laws in Thailand. So some distro newness over there for them.
I only recently became aware of how the laws in Thailand are making it tough for craft breweries to do what they do over there. They're surprisingly restrictive for that, considering what else they're known for. But anyway, Thailand's parliament has recently approved changes to existing regulations on alcoholic production with the goal of lowering entry barriers for small-scale beer and liquor producers. The key revision allows breweries to distribute their products nationwide in kegs, which was previously not allowed. That's right, they could not put their beer in kegs, which is a very interesting restriction. It also categorizes on-site beer production outlets as fresh beer breweries, and that fresh beer breweries seems to be their category for craft beer, I think. Small and medium-sized distilleries can now be established closer to water sources if they have adequate wastewater treatment. So I guess they were just required out of the gate to you can't be anywhere near any water if you're making alcohol. So, or at least the liquor version of it. So that's really unusual and interesting. So new medium-sized producers of alcohol of all forms, I think is beer and spirits, they no longer have to operate as small-scale producers for a year before they scale up. So I've never heard of a restriction like this before, where you can open up, but you can only be a small producer for like the first year before you go wider. And maybe that's just to make sure that nothing catastrophic happens. But I don't know. It's a very interesting restriction anyway. There are currently over 30 registered small-scale breweries in Thailand that are ready to put their beer into distribution, but haven't been able to do it until now. So it might be about to go off in Thailand in terms of beer. They may just have like their own craft beer explosion over there, while the rest of us are kind of like, I don't know, we're maturing over here. But if they're just at 30 that are just looking to get into distribution, they probably have a lot more opportunity there.
I don't know how large Thailand is, to be honest with you. I mean, I know where it is over there, or in the general area of where it is there, but I don't know how large it is. So I don't know, relatively speaking, what 30 registered breweries means.
That does seem low, and I don't know a lot of the full stats for it, but Bangkok is huge. They could probably have 30 in Bangkok alone, probably, and that not be oversaturating, at least from the impression I had from when I was there. I don't know how spread out these things are, but Thailand's a pretty big country too. So there's a lot of like geography, north and south.
Yeah, and I guess when you can't put your beer in kegs and distribute it, that will put the kibosh on much growth there. So
yeah, I guess maybe in bottles, but I don't know. Yeah, the kegs really makes everything a lot
Makes
easier.
a bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
You got some facts for us, Nate?
So the U.S. is roughly 19 times bigger than Thailand.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I'm all right.
They're about half a million square kilometers. I'm sorry for the metrics. And the U.S. is approximately 9.8 million square kilometers.
Okay. So still, I mean, that if you scaled up, we're talking like having 600 breweries in the U.S. Just to put it into kind of perspective there.
Yeah, so
they got
like
room.
A
They got
ton of
room.
opportunity. Like
Yeah.
I know that having done a little bit of travel in that area, one little town, like you get very far out. Like the stuff in Bangkok isn't local anymore. It's like that's a heck of a haul.
Yeah.
So if there was a local place nearby, they would do really well in that area. So it's the same thing that we have. When we started out, everything in Georgia was local-ish, but now we look at it, I'm like, yeah, the stuff way on the coast and way south, like that's not really local anymore. That's a heck of a ways away,
I've seen the way, and I shouldn't say the way they do. I will say that I've seen this a few times watching shows that talking about like Japanese drinking culture, and they'll go like these. I know there's a name for it, but I forget. But I guess like there's these alleyways. I think especially in bigger cities like Tokyo, where you'll have shops that are like the size of a bedroom or something, and you've got 6 bar stools in there. And, people have their regular favorite places to go. But each time I've seen it, they get the beer in what looks to be maybe like maybe a bomber size bottle, maybe a 16 ounce or a bomber. But then they have these glasses that are a little shorter, but it's kind of this intimate little thing with like 6 or 8 people sitting around the bar. You get your bottle of beer, you crack it open, you pour you some short ones. I'm like, man, that looks like a cool vibe. Like I feel like I could get down with that. Get me a bowl of ramen. Get me a pint of beer there and a little glasses. And I know I've gone to Korean restaurants here that do that, and they bring you out, gosh, maybe a 6 or 8 ounce glass somewhere in there. They'll bring you like a large bottle of beer in that. It was fun, man. It's a different way of doing it. And me, guys, I like the small serving sizes. I'm the advocate for the 8 ounce cans, but
oh yeah.
So the little short glasses like that, I'm cool with that.
I want them to bring out Black Tuesday like that with the little like 6 ounce glasses.
Yeah. Bring it out. Let's do this.
I have seen that in like movies or whatever. And I don't know how much of that's legit because I've spent zero time in like Japan or anything like that. But I've seen places that are really small that probably cater to a very, very limited local clientele. Yeah. You've got your regulars. It's great. It's like any regulars bar. It's just it's a different place, different language, but it's cool,
I saw this TikTok travel guy or Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, one of those that does the short video thing, whatever it was. And he's an American in Japan, and he tried out this new restaurant, and like they have one dish. That's it. There's no menu. There's no nothing. You go there. If you go there, you get a bowl of soup, soup, noodles, a side of rice, a couple slices of pork on there, and that's it. You don't order, you don't have a menu, anything.
I actually went to a place like that, but it was in Spain. Okay. And all they had is they had house red wine and they had gamba salajillo. So they had their own little terracotta pots, garlic shrimp. They made that and they poured you a house red wine if you wanted it or not. And that's what you got. People lined up and they'd be inside and they didn't even have seating. They had a couple of stand-up tables. And so you go hang out at a stand-up table, eat your, garlic shrimp with your toast, drink your wine, and you'd leave. And that was it. Was
it a winery or something? Or was that just kind of their thing?
Just a hole-in-the-wall place. How was it? The El Abuelo or something like that? The grandparent or the grandpa? Like that was, where was that? That was Spain. Madrid. I think I was in Madrid. Yeah, It was cool. Like it was seriously. And there was another place that all they did was some sort of a sandwich. Like you lined up and they had that one thing. And they didn't even have an inside. I think you went up, you got it from the window and you left. I'm like, that was your
sandwich and go.
Like that kind of thing is cool. I like that a lot.
If you're I would expect if I do that, they better be the best gamba salajillo that I've ever had in my life. They better be amazing. All right.
They were fantastic. Yeah, they were. I spent the rest of my life anytime I see it, like referencing that as a comparison in my head. So yeah, it was amazing. I have no idea if it still exists, and I don't even know exactly where it was. But yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, still love it.
All right. Gotta love it, man. Good times for sure. Brian, collaborations are still a big thing in beer. Good times. We saw something today, and let me see. I don't know if you've got it. I don't want to. Yeah, you do have it in the news, Brian. So
I do. Yeah,
I won't steal your thunder there, but let's talk about some collaborations here. So we've got a big one coming up for a good cause, and it is a 6-way collaboration, Brian. And as they say, it's okay if it's in a 6-way.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's exactly what they say. I love beer for a good cause, and bonus points if it's funny or unusual or some other way interesting. And the 6 degrees of fermentation is all of those things. That's the name of this beer. It's funny, it's unusual, it's for a good cause. I think it's probably a good beer. I have not had it yet; it hasn't been released yet. But to begin with, it's a 6-way Philadelphia brewery collaboration, like you said, with each can of the 6-pack featuring a different image of actor Kevin Bacon from one of his famous movie roles. It turns out that Kevin Bacon is from Philly originally, so that's kind of the tie-in here initially. The breweries involved are Yards Brewing, Attic Brewing, Evil Genius Beer Company, Human Robot, Sacred Vice Brewing, and Wissahickon Brewing, which that's I don't know if I said that right, and I apologize if I've offended a lot of people in Philly. Don't fight me over that. And apparently the proceeds, appropriately, the proceeds of the beer are going to benefit Kevin Bacon's charitable nonprofit 6degrees.org. So there's all sorts of 6 degrees happening here. Obviously, it's a reference to 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which is a game that people used to play. As for the beer, it's a dry hop Kolsch, and it will be released on Wednesday, May 28th at Yards Brewing in North Philly. So hopefully some of our listeners in the Philly area will be able to swing by and get some. If you do, let us know how it is. If I were in the area, I would absolutely go get some of this because this looks like a lot of fun. And I like things like this.
In Philly.
Yeah.
I may see if I can get something done there.
Make sure make sure they at least get it and tell us about it. Yeah.
Right.
It's fun.
I feel like, do we need to explain what the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon is? Do you think there's anybody that doesn't know what that is?
I assume people would know what that is.
I'm going to throw it out there just in case. I imagine this is unnecessary, but basically it says that anyone that you can essentially derive a line from you to Kevin Bacon and people he's been in movies with in less than 6 steps, 6 degrees there.
Is it anybody or is it just like people from movies, like any person from any movie?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the caveat to it, is that if you know someone that's been in a movie that you can get to Kevin Bacon within 6 degrees.
Or it might be a case of like, if anybody if they've seen a movie with anybody in it, you can take one of the movies they've seen and take it to Kevin Bacon, which is kind of the same thing. So yeah.
So I went ahead and Googled it to see. It says it is an idea that it's a theory that any 2 people on Earth are 6 or fewer social connections apart from Kevin Bacon. So
it really is just people.
It really is just people in general. So, and I wonder if it is factual there. That it could if there's anybody that is insanely 7 degrees away.
I think that it would be very difficult to prove that there wasn't one connection. Like when you think about it, and these connections can be kind of really tenuous too. Like we know Nappy Roots, and they know a lot of other famous people, so it's not going to take us very far to get there. But
yeah,
other people like. Well, I've seen or I've run into or I met so-and-so at a conference or something, and then they know somebody and it goes over. So I think that the connections can be a little tenuous. Like I've met a guy who just knows Kevin Bacon. You know what I mean? So
see, like with us being friends with the Nappy Roots guys, we're 1 degree away from Kanye West because
that's a good point.
Kanye was a producer for them back in the day before Kanye became Kanye, really. So we're 1 degree away from 1
That
degree
used
of
to be
Kanye.
more impressive than it is
It
right
did.
now.
Now
I'm
it's
just
like,
gonna
ooh,
say.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
brag
Now
about
it's
that,
like,
man.
yeah, I
wouldn't
don't know
brag
about that. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. But that little kind of
Yeah.
stuff like that is fun, though, man.
That's fun.
It's
Yeah, that's
interesting to
cool.
see. But on the note of collaboration, too, Nate, this may interest you being a cocktail and a beer nerd. There's a series of cocktail-themed beer collaborations coming out with Tip Top. And Tip Top, I don't know if they were the first ones to do it, but they're kind of an old school as far as canned cocktails. They've been around for a minute, but they've got a lot of collaborations coming up with some pretty well-known breweries.
Yeah, they do. Their collaboration series is called Kindred Spirit Series. It's going to feature collaborations with WeldWorks, Holy City Brewing. I don't know them but they're from South Carolina. Green Cheek Beer. I've seen them from California. Revolution Brewing from Illinois, which I think everybody's heard of, and of course, Creature Comforts here from Georgia. So the idea behind the series is to reimagine classic cocktails as craft beers, and I love this idea. Each collaboration will transform a tip-top signature cocktail like their Bee's Knees or their Cosmopolitan or Whiskey Sour into a distinct beer. The series begins in June with WeldWorks Brewing. They are releasing a gin barrel-aged Bee's Knees Imperial Sour Ale. Later in June, Tip Top and Holy City Brewing will release a Cosmo Ale, which is a blonde ale inspired by the Cosmopolitan. And the upcoming Creature Comforts collaboration won't be the first time that these two have worked together. Is Tip Top based in Georgia? I want to say that they might be, but I don't know. But anyway, they have collaborated with Creature Comforts before. That is my point. And their previous collaboration was called Jungle Bird, and we talked about it in the show not long ago. It was also a cocktail inspired beer, and it was released in late 2024. So I don't know if. I assume that they're not going to just re-release that. I assume they're coming out with something new, but if not, we have an idea of what it's going to be. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I like this idea, like recreating cocktails as beers. Creature Comforts has done a little bit of that already on their own before this, so yeah, it's always fun to enjoy those.
I want someone to do a dirty martini goose. Like I'm on board for that. I
like this idea.
That.
Yeah.
So someone because some of the gooses actually have kind of an earthy character anyhow that would probably, in my opinion, would complement the olive nicely. And you could even serve it serve it with an olive in your lambic basket glass, and then
I could do that.
Do it up. So I'd try it.
Put some olives on a toothpick and drop it in your beer glass. That'd be great.
One that has not been done, Brian. What's a cocktail you think would make a good beer?
Oh, wow.
And Nate be thinking, because being the cocktail man, I'm coming to you to find out what you think. So
I have not seen anything. I don't know of anything that's ever attempted to replicate the industry sour, which is a very popular cocktail in my house. It might be difficult to do. I think that is, I think that's Fernet. It's green chartreuse, lemon juice, and simple syrup. So it's going to be really herbal. It's I don't know. I don't know if it's very, very popular, but we drink the heck out of it in my house. I don't know what that would be. Like that would have to be a really interesting IPA, maybe. I'm not sure how you'd replicate that.
Okay,
but that's what
you're
like
rambling too much. We're moving on. Nate,
okay,
what would you think?
So my very first thought was not a Clever Club, and a sidecar, which is cognac, orange liqueur, lemon juice. And I thought that might do well as potentially a wheat, or even potentially a a wheat and a wheat are the same thing. The follow-up thought I had was a Clever Club, which is gin, lemon juice, and raspberry syrup, and I thought that would make actually a really nice sour.
Yeah, both of those sound like they'd be pretty good. So thanks for the coherent thoughts too, Nate. That's much appreciated. So
were mine completely incoherent?
Brian's he was just pondering out loud. You could see the wheels churning there. He wasn't.
I hadn't really given it any thought. The other thing was like Black Russian, but I think we've done that. That's basically coffee plus vodka. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be easy to do. That'd be fun. Yeah. Have they done a mudslide beer? Because that'd be an easy one to do. If they haven't done that already, that would be
That's got to
That
be a
would be pretty
pastry
easy.
stout. That has to be a pastry stout already.
Yeah, no
that's gotta
question on
be.
that at all.
Yeah.
No question on that at all.
What if it was a pastry brown ale though?
No, I'm not okay with that, Nate. I've decided I don't think so. Maybe an imperial, because, well, hold on, Nate. Let me back up. Now I'm thinking about Frangelic Mountain Brown
Mm-hmm.
and how good that was. But I feel like since the mudslide is typically a thick with 2 C's drink, that a full-bodied imperial stout would be a better delivery vehicle than the brown ale. Would be more truer to the cocktail.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Has anybody done a Negroni beer? I don't know if they have.
Yeah, there's several of those.
Have
I
they?
think. I'm almost positive I've seen those out there. Yeah,
It seems like they would be, because for a couple of years ago, it seemed like that was the cocktail of choice for a lot of brewers, like in the know. Like it was a huge deal. So somebody had to have done one, but I'm trying to think if I ever had one. I've had
Evil Twins done one.
Okay.
Yeah. That's such a popular.
There's plenty on Untappd that are showing Negroni. So
okay, all right, makes sense then.
But not one banana cognac beer, Brian. Not a single one yet.
Not one.
Shame.
Is that even a drink? That doesn't have a name. It needs a name first.
I don't know. I don't even know how I came up with that. I think it was just an attempt at ridiculosity.
Should it be like grape ape because it's banana and cognac
barrels? No, I don't like that. Let's not.
Okay.
No, that's not allowed. No.
Okay,
no.
fine.
No, I don't even know, Brian. I don't even know. But yeah. Well, y'all, we are wrapping up the show this week. That's about all the time we've got. We greatly appreciate you hanging out with us. If you enjoy what we're doing here, we'd love for you to tell a friend to tune in, share the show, tell everybody, tell your mother, tell your cousin, bring the whole family. It'd be great. If you really enjoy what we're doing, we'd love your support on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. We'll get you some cool swag and we'll get you in the Discord chat with us, and you'll get invited for the after party that happens after the show each week. But with all that said, we thank you very, very much for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.